In this video, we will show you how to install microSHIFT thumb shifters. If you have any questions about proper setup, it's best to consult with a professional bike mechanic. microSHIFT thumb shifters are delivered fully assembled, but it's good to know how to put them together just in case. For the right shifter, find the square mounting surface on the handlebar clamp, then match the half circle indent on the lever assembly to the side of the square closest to the handlebar clamp. Push the nut through the bottom of the clamp and the lever assembly, then finger tighten the torque bolt until it's flush with the lever. For the left shifter, the process is mostly the same. Align the half circle indent on the lever assembly with the side of the square on the handlebar clamp closest to the bar. It's rotated a little bit clockwise on the left shifter mount. Again, push the nut through the bottom of the clamp and the lever assembly, then finger tighten the torque bolt until it's flush with the top of the lever. When setting up your cockpit, remember that it all comes down to personal preference. You may have to play around with positioning to make everything feel optimal. Our recommendation is to install the shifter inboard of the brake lever, then set the angle of the brake lever to where you prefer it. Usually, the shifter feels best angled somewhere between 0 and 45 degrees from horizontal. Install the grip and test out your cockpit setup. Once you've got everything where you like it, tighten the handlebar clamp to 5 Newton meters with a 4mm hex wrench. The shifter cable and housing exit from the barrel adjuster and are routed to the derailleur. Each frame is different, so make sure to reference your bike's instructions on proper cable routing. For optimal shift performance, make sure that the housing does not have any sharp bends, and also check to make sure that you can fully turn the handlebars without interference. To install the cable, first make sure that the shift lever has been shifted all the way clockwise on the right shifter, or all the way counterclockwise on the left shifter. Adjust the barrel adjuster clockwise until it bottoms out. Then put the housing in place. Route the shift cable through the shifter lever, through the barrel adjuster attached to the handlebar clamp, and through the housing. Once the cable has exited the final piece of cable housing, route the cable through the housing stop on the rear derailleur. Take care to make sure the cable housing is seated in the housing stop. Then pull the inner cable tight through the cable fixing point on the derailleur and tighten the cable fixing bolt. Every derailleur is different, so make sure to consult the manufacturer's instructions regarding cable routing, torque spec, and limit screw and bead tension adjustment. Once the cable is secure, cut the excess cable and attach a cable end tip. After the cable is attached, it's time to adjust the torque bolt on top of the shifter. Tighten the bolt with a 4mm hex wrench to about 2 Newton meters, which is basically just snug. And then shift the shifter to a larger cog on the rear derailleur. Notice that the shifter does not return. Then begin loosening the torque bolt slowly, watching for the lever to return to its indexed position. Once it does, stop loosening the torque bolt. Test shifting action to make sure that the shifter returns to the indexed position on every shift. To adjust cable tension, turn the barrel adjuster clockwise to release tension, or counterclockwise to add it. If the derailleur is slow to move to a bigger cog, add tension. If the derailleur is slow to move to a smaller cog, release tension. The left shifter is not indexed, so setup is a little bit different. To install the cable, route it through the lever, then turn the shifter clockwise. That makes it easier to loop the cable around and route it through the barrel adjuster attached to the handlebar clamp. Once the cable is through, shift all the way counterclockwise back to the resting position. Thread the rest of the cable through the shifter and turn the barrel adjuster clockwise to its lowest setting. Cable and housing routing depends on which frame and derailleur you're using, so be sure to consult the appropriate manuals for correct setup. Once you've got the cable routed through the derailleur fixing bolt, tighten the bolt, cut the excess cable, and detach a cable end tip. Once the cable is installed, the torque bolt needs to be set. The process is slightly different for a friction shifter. Tighten the torque bolt with a 4mm hex wrench until it's snug, about 2 Nm. Then turn the lever clockwise to shift to a larger chainring. Loosen the torque bolt until the lever returns. Then retighten the torque bolt by about half a rotation. This allows the shifter to be tight enough to hold the derailleur in place without slipping. Cable tension adjustment works the same for the front shifter as for the rear shifter. Turn the barrel adjuster counterclockwise to add tension, and clockwise to release it. If the front derailleur is slow to shift to a bigger chainring, add tension. If the derailleur is slow to shift to a smaller chainring, release tension. If you're having mechanical problems, or if you just like it better, you can switch from index to friction mode on the right shifter. To do that, loosen the torque bolt with a 4mm hex. Then turn the dial under the torque bolt until the friction icon lines up with the red dot. Tighten the torque bolt until it's snug, about 2 Nm. Shift to a larger cog on the rear derailleur. Loosen the bolt until the shift lever begins to return. Then retighten by about half a revolution. Make sure the shifter is tight enough to hold the derailleur in place without slipping. This concludes the installation video for the microSHIFT thumb shifters. Thanks for watching. If you have any more questions, please email us at service@microshift.com.